Hello, welcome to Coffee and Chatter. Today we're going to talk about conspiracy theories, the thin line between them, with specific reference to the Capitol incursion, the January 6th Capitol incursion. That's all it was, an incursion. It wasn't what they're claiming it is. There was no violence to speak of, except towards Ashley. Ashley Babbitt, an unarmed, patriotic American veteran who presumably thought she was exercising her right to protest, what she saw as government fraud and overreach in the election. After all, it's the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. End of quote. Maybe she had overstepped those rights. Was she violent? She thought I have to assume she wasn't armed. Maybe she did overstep. I don't know. Did she deserve to be killed for it? Was she perpetrating violence? The only violence that I'm aware of that occurred that day was Ashley Babbitt being shot in the head. She was unfortunately in the wrong place at the wrong time. So, let's talk about all the individuals. There's not that many. But, our year of violence, our summer of violence, protesting BLM, the individuals killed by police in the line of duty that provoked that year of violence and looting, that was excused by the same people who are condemning the Capitol 6 incursion as some type of wild insurrection. So some of those deaths occurred justifiably based on the actions of the individuals. Some maybe were unjustified. But we should remember white people are shot and killed by the police too. Okay? Nobody's out to get a certain group of people. Some of the unfortunate individuals in these circumstances were armed. Most of them fought with the police to avoid arrest. Now, whether we agree with it or not, it is against the law to resist arrest. Best thing to do, if possible, is to go along and deal with it after. I know it's easy to say that, hard to do it at the time. But most of the individuals killed were resisting arrest and got into some type of scuffle. The important point to be made here is every one of the law enforcement individuals responsible for those shootings, whether they were considered justified or not, had their names released to the public. That resulted in most of them and their families being harassed and threatened. Now, fast forward to January 6, 2021, and the unprovoked shooting in the head of an unarmed woman, patriotic American, climbing through a window that was previously broken, she didn't break it, into the Capitol building. Was Ashley Babbitt leading the charge? Was she the first one to breach the building? Was she presenting a threat to anyone? Nevertheless, she was the only one shot. And to date, over 4 months later, the name of the shooter is still being concealed, as are the names of many other of the Capitol Police that were present on the scene. Additionally, there are hundreds of other protesters from the January 6th Capitol incursion who have been rounded up and are languishing in solitary confinement without opportunity for bail for the low crime of trespassing. Remember, no violence. Here's the catch. There are additional so-called unindicted conspirators who have not only not been arrested, they've not even been named, other than to refer to them as person 1, person 2, person 3, etc. Why is that? It appears that they are FBI undercover types or informants, G-men, government people. Okay, let's pause for a moment. Remember Randy Weaver and the Ruby Ridge siege? Admittedly, Randy Weaver was not your, average go along to get along guy. He didn't trust government as far as he could throw it. Guess what? Neither do I and many people I know. So, Randy Weaver was a malcontent. But he didn't go out looking to break the law. He wanted to be left alone. But, unfortunately, that type of guy draws the attention of government know-it-alls who want to know what his problem is. They just can't leave him alone. Enter the undercover guy, the G-man. So Randy Weaver didn't go out looking to sell illegal guns. He wasn't in the illegal gun business. He was approached by an undercover agent who had a bug up his rear over him or something. Somebody had a bug up their rear over him. And this undercover guy went in and began to solicit Randy Weaver to get him a sawed-off shotgun, an illegal weapon. Weaver ultimately conceded, in the end, and he, delivered the item to the guy. And that was just the crime that he was accused of that brought about, it was brought about by entrapment is what I'm trying to say. He was entrapped. In other words, here was a guy the government did not like, so it set about constructing a crime to ensnare the guy. All right, so let's fast forward to the January 6th Capitol incursion. Exactly how many FBI informants and operatives were involved, and why? Does any sane thinking individual believe that President Trump set up and arranged the incursion? Or as they're calling it, an insurrection? Come on, man. Personally, now that I'm considering this idea, I can think of a myriad of reasons why the government would want to discount those who question the 2020 election. And January 6th, the day the Congress met to certify the Electoral College results, was the perfect day to make something happen. There were a number of individuals who were going to object. That whole thing evaporated. I don't know why or how. It just, the whole thing collapsed and they all just threw up their hands. So, not only did the Capitol 6 incursion, or insurrection as they're calling it, give the government, the deep state, the lapdog media, the impetus to incessantly decry the protest as an attempt to take down the sitting government, and the worst such attempt since the Civil War, but it put a scare into the members of Congress who had indicated they were going to object to the certification. So, did it work? You bet. And it also gave them the pretext to blame President Trump and his supporters. It met all their needs, absolutely. So, before I conclude, I want to throw something in here as a side note. When they talk about this insurrection, they say it's as bad as 9/11. It's as bad as Pearl Harbor. And it's, the worst thing since the Civil War. Why did they stop there? The Revolutionary War was the, insurrection against the sitting English government. Okay? Real American patriots overthrew the government. And that's why we're all here. But I digress. So, in the end, I don't like giving credence to conspiracy theories. This, however, seems to have graduated from theory to a full-blown conspiracy and cover-up. Now, we only need to identify the prime players. Will that ever happen? I don't know. What say you? Thanks for listening to Coffee and Chatter.